Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Today's video, I'm here with Veronica.
Hi.
So I met her in the retirement convention from, I don't know if some of you, a lot of you have heard about it, is that the retirement alcohol event that Maria in Peru usually do every year. So we met her in the first one that was last year, and then we meet again this year. So it's so funny that while we was talking, we pretty much have the same experience. It is with the food industry. And I know that a lot of people usually ask on my channel, oh, how difficult it is to open a business up there, especially the restaurant business. So on today's video, we are talking with Veronica about food, restaurant business, open a business here in Dominican Republic, and specifically food truck. So
Yes.
welcome, Veronica.
Thank you.
So,
Go ahead.
no, you go ahead.
So the first thing that I bought when I came to Dominican Republic was a food truck. It was a coincidence. I was driving down a little street and I bumped into one, and my husband said, "Hey, there goes a food truck." So it wasn't planned, but I had to learn to deal with the food truck industry, which is huge in Dominican Republic.
Okay. So what brought you here to Dominican Republic?
My husband.
So you came here because of him.
Yeah, I came here because of him. I had a very long career in procurement. I was director of procurement for a hospital system in New York the first 9 months of the pandemic. And after 9 months of dealing with that, I decided that it was time to do something else. So I decided to join my husband here in Santo Domingo, and we ventured into different businesses. We ended up renting this place, the second day I was here.
Wow, but you was fast. I mean, you were ready.
He was more ready than I was. He knew more or less where he wanted to be, and he knew that there was a good market here. So we jumped right in pure pandemic. I mean, we were closing the bar at 12 noon, so we were opening at 6 a.m., but we were selling more beer than ever during the pandemic. It was crazy.
Yes, I remember the time because people, you know how we humans are.
Yeah.
The more you tell people not to do something, that's what you want more to do it. So I know that we have curfew until 12, and it was crazy time. So when you came the first time, or when you came that time, you already knew that you was gonna be here to stay here.
It was, it's an interesting story because my husband has been here for 20 years. He waited 20 years for me to come to Dominican Republic.
So he's not from here?
He is from here, but we met in the States.
Okay.
And he ended up having to relocate back here. I wasn't going to relocate because I had a big career in corporate, and it came to the point that we both ended up saying, okay, it's time to give it another shot.
Okay.
So after 20 something years, I ended up here, and I said, okay, this is where we're gonna be. He had 3 nightclubs before the pandemic, huge nightclubs, 250 people plus, but with the pandemic, as we know, they all went away for a little while.
So they all closed now?
Yes, they all closed down because there was no rental assistance here, right? If you wanted to keep the location, you had to keep paying it. And I knew coming from the hospital systems that it was going to be at least 2 or 3 years before the nightclubs opened again. So we downsized and we ended up in a colmado.
Okay, I mean, you at least keep one business.
Yeah.
And so how's your experience having business here in Dominican Republic?
Honestly, I've had a really good experience here. I'm fortunate enough to, of course, know Spanish, and I come from a business background, and it really isn't that different. You just have to know how to navigate and
To adjust to whatever you are.
Yeah. So, I incorporated right away. I trademarked the name right away. I took all of the steps that I would usually take in the U.S., figured out how to get it done here. And we just started working, but it's so much easier because you don't have to get a liquor license to sell beer here. I literally got the place yesterday, and today I was selling beer.
But I'm glad that you mentioned that. Even though you did that you don't need a license, and you can open a business and sell beer, or why not, whatever business you have. But would you recommend to people that they have to go and they get the business legalized, or would you say, okay,
I mean, listen, this is Dominican Republic, so you can do whatever you pretty much want.
I mean, Don't tell some people that, they will take it the wrong way.
No, honestly, you can come and start a business if you want to, and nobody's gonna say anything to you. But you should go about it the right way. If
Yeah.
you're going to be in mainstream, like on Churchill or a Sarasota or an area that is out in the open, you want to go and do it the right way. You want to get, your permits and not a liquor license, but you want to get your fire inspections, and you want to incorporate and take care of all of that legal stuff because you're in the limelight. But if you're gonna be in the barrio somewhere, you might not need to do all of that.
You don't need that. That is true because we have, as a lot of you know, we have our restaurant. And our restaurant was in Churchill, in La Plaza Universitaria. We know all that. We got everything on point. We got legalized. We will pay taxes, and even though we're doing that, we're still having people coming onto our door because we had to pay because we have the music in the patio. We
Yes.
had to pay. That was
Yeah.
crazy, but yes. I
Yeah.
agree. If
There's
you don't
a
have
lot.
it on the open area, especially those main streets, you want to get it legalized because you will have people knocking on your door. Hey, you ain't paying taxes. Or either you pay taxes or you're going to have people to try to play you all the time for money. So you don't want to do that. You better do it the right way.
And apart from that, being in those areas, don't expect to pay Dominican prices. Those areas are very expensive. The rent is US dollars, very high, because it's like you having something on Broadway or Park Avenue in New York. So there are areas here that you're not going to pay Dominican dollars.
No, yes.
Those are one of those areas. The rents are high and there are a lot of regulations. There's no restrictions on purely residential versus industrial areas. So you have a big mix sometimes of residential and industrial and bars and restaurants. So the regulations change. And not only do they change in different zones, but you could be across the street from a place that allows one thing, but because you're on the other side of the street, it doesn't allow. So you really do need to become aware of the environment that you're going to be in.
Okay, yes, that is true. So would you say that your experience having business over here, is it worth it? Have you been profitable? Is it good for you?
It has been worth it. It really has been. The pandemic helped me obtain 3 or 4 businesses. I mean, I started
that's
with
crazy. You
with
will
the
say,
food
some
truck.
people will say, pandemic, close my business down. I don't have any business. She say, help her. 3 businesses, so.
Yeah. With the pandemic and the food truck, and here I ended up opening a restaurant in Boca Chica, which I sold. I also have a consulting business where I had offices that I opened, and I was able to renovate the colmado into a bar lounge, and now I'm going to do what seems to be a trend here, which is having a few different businesses with one location. So now I'm going to be a juice bar, coffee bar during the day, and a bar club lounge at night.
So you try to get all the money, the morning and that.
Absolutely, maximize off of the rent that I'm paying. But there's plenty of opportunity here, and the one thing with the food truck or the food industry is bueno, bonito y barato.
The three
and
Bs.
yes,
Good, cheap, and pretty. Well,
yes.
it doesn't sound the same in English.
It doesn't. But that's a key here. And another thing that I realized is the culinary scene in Santo Domingo is crazy. I mean, there is so much good food here that you really do have to have a good balance of price and taste. The food needs to taste good. But Dominicans will pay a high price for a really good meal.
For a good, and for presentation.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
If it looks good and it tastes good, you'll have continuous repeat business, which is really what you want.
Yeah, I would say that you have to pick the right location. The right location for you to attract the type of customer that will pay the price for whatever they want. Because you have people here that pay the price for whatever they want to eat.
Yeah. And I have to say though, right, talking about location, I know that location is everything. But you also know that you'll find restaurants here in the strangest places.
Yes.
Like you'll go into a neighborhood that you see nothing but residential homes, and then you'll find like this restaurant. And I found one the other day that it was extraordinary in the middle of a residential area. So sometimes location doesn't even matter here. As long as you have a good marketing campaign and your food
And the
is
food
good,
is good, people will find you. Yeah, that's
They
true.
will find
They Google
you.
it, they find you. So now let's talk about the food truck business because I know that a lot of people want to know about that. So if someone wanted to start that business, what would be the step that they need to take?
so the first thing is what you mentioned before is location, right? You have to keep in mind that no matter what, unless you're gonna get one of the food trucks that I'm investing in now, which are gonna be solar and not gonna be hooked up, you're gonna need to have somewhere to hook into your electricity. You're gonna wanna find out if the municipality you're in is going to allow you to put a food truck there. You're gonna have to find out all of the regulations that come with that specific location.
Okay.
Are you going to have a food truck that's permanent, or are you going to have a food truck that you're going to move around every day? Are you going to be mobile or stable? Which one of the two? Decide that, and then find out where you're going to put it. Once you know what the regulations are, how you're going to hook up to the electricity, you have to deal with permits, just like any place else. You got to get like a health permit from the fire department saying, yes, it's safe, you can function, no problem. Sanitation as well. There are permits for that you need to get.
Is it difficult to get those permits?
They're not difficult at all. You just got to go through the process, and they'll come, they'll inspect, they'll look at it, and they'll give you the green light.
Are they expensive?
They're not expensive. I mean, I don't find it expensive, but I'm careful when I say that, right? Because relative to US dollar, nothing is really too expensive, right? But if you're looking at standard Dominican dollars, it's average. It's not a big cost.
Okay, like how much? Give us an example.
So I think the permit for the fire inspection permit, I think was like 500 and something pesos. It wasn't a lot.
Well, that is affordable.
You know, it wasn't a lot at all. If you're gonna have like a permanent location, right, then you have to do the regular stuff, have fire alarms, this, that, the other, so you'll invest a little there. But nothing is more than 2,000 pesos, and that's a lot.
Okay. So how do you pick the type of food that you want to have in your truck?
You have to study where you're going to be, right?
Okay.
And you also have to study the market.
Okay.
Because there are food park trucks here that are incredible right now. They're popping up everywhere, but they're pretty expensive, the food, right? But then you go around the corner to like Los Jardines, and the food is moderately priced. So you can vary in your prices. You just have to decide what you want to be. If you're going to be cheap, pretty, and good, then you know that you should be priced around no more than 250 pesos for a meal. Because that's the normal, right? Like your plato del día.
Yeah, plato del día will be between 250
About
and
250.
300.
So you know that if you want to be that category, you're going to be there. If you want to be a little bit more gourmet, right? Then I would recommend you be in a Bella Vista zona, right? Where it's a little bit more upscale, and then you would have to go way up on your quality, and your pricing is going to increase with that. So you really have to ask yourself, what food do I want to serve? What's gonna, take me to want to do this? Because after you're in the food truck business and you're in there cooking every day, if you don't really have that feeling of wanting to provide the food and the service, you're gonna get tired really quick, and it's gonna get old. So you gotta think about what's gonna excite you, look at the market, take a look at your ingredients, and really do the math behind it, right? So even now, when I'm looking at the juices that I wanna do with the juice bar, I'm thinking about, all right, what fruits, vegetable, herbs are at that low cost end where I can create an incredible flavor with the juices that I'm doing, and keep my prices at that medium level, because I don't want to be on the low end or too high of an end, because then I'm going to lose the whole market. So you really have to study your market, and I recommend go out and eat as much as you can of the food that you want to that you want to put out there, right? Because you have to know what your competition is. You know, like I know your husband's a fan of barbecue, so if I wanted to sell barbecue food, we're gonna go and we're gonna try
other places
to see what they're doing, how they're doing it, what flavors they have, what do I think I could do different, and then really keep in mind the cost. Because the markets here, if you become familiar with the food markets, you have your high-end food markets, and then you have your typical Dominican food markets that are in the really low end, but then the quality is not as good. So what can you do with that, right? Can you take low quality ingredients and make them high quality food? So you really have to understand what it is that you're doing, study your market, and just go out there and see what's there.
So what is the cost involved in getting the truck?
The
together?
actual physical
Yeah,
truck?
the physical truck.
Okay.
With everything, just equipped with everything. Just
Yeah.
to say, hey, it's ready. We're gonna start tonight. Sell food. Sell food.
Okay, so it really depends on what you're gonna cook because that's gonna determine your equipment, right? If you're gonna be a food truck that sells barbecue with a smoker, that's gonna cost you a little bit more. But your standard food truck where you could make like your hamburgers, hot dogs, french fries, that kind of thing, I would tell you you're gonna spend between $6,000 to $8,000. And you can probably do it with a little bit less if you buy something that's used. You can probably find some good deals around the $5,000
Including the
mark.
truck?
Yes.
And that doesn't matter the size of it. Let's say
They do come in all sizes.
Oh well, yeah, because those are with a container, right?
Those
are made out of
food
containers.
No, not made out of.
Oh.
These are actual food trailers. Now there's a guy here, a Venezuelan guy, that makes them from scratch. I went and I priced that out for something that I wanted to do, and he was charging me $16,000.
For a food, well, that was
That was
container.
a trailer. No, that was
That was
a
a
trailer
trailer?
as well. But I was equipping it with like some heavy duty stuff. Like it was
Okay.
like a mobile restaurant that I was trying to do.
So if you just want to test the market or something small, no start too big, you can start something with between $6,000 and $8,000.
Yeah.
So if you have $8,000, what would it come with that truck?
So you would get about three fryers, a grill, and about maybe 2 or 3 stovetops and a griddle. You would probably get the counter side, the exhaust fan, and you could probably throw in there like the serving table or the carving prep table. You would probably get about that content in there.
Okay. So that would be everything like the fryers, the thing to cook your burger, the hot dog, and the thing, the hood they go for
The exhaust,
smoke
yeah.
and all that.
Yeah.
Okay, doesn't sound bad. So you know, guys, with $8,000, if you are ready to test the market, you can do it.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
You know, it takes guts. I mean, I tell people all the time, look, the worst thing you can do is start a project, let it get tough, and then you run, right? You can't run. If it gets tough, get tougher. You know, don't give up. Understand what you're doing wrong or what you're doing that you're not supposed to be doing, or what can you do differently. And if you don't get it the first, second, or third time, keep trying, because there's nothing but opportunity here. And no matter what, all I see are food trucks going up because we're running out of space. So people are getting creative, right? So don't give up. Find your location, find your market. You can buy a new truck, you can get it made here. I know someone right now that's importing one from the States. I think he's a little crazy, he's spending a lot of money, but he's importing some in. He wants to do the whole smoke thing from a food truck, right? So he said, I can't get the equipment I want, I can't find it. And one thing about equipment, no matter what it is, you could find it here. It's just gonna take you some time.
It's going to take you some time. You need to look at the right place.
Yeah.
But you will find the thing that you're looking for. So how many food trucks do you have at the moment? Do you have any? Or what do you do with it after you
Yeah,
build
so
one?
I have one and I have 12 on standby.
12 on standby. How do you
do.
have? Why are they on standby?
Because I'm having them custom made and brought in. I'm actually looking at solar powered trucks because I want to be mobile.
Okay.
The one thing about Dominicans is that they party anywhere, right? I mean, when they won the Caribbean baseball series, Lincoln turned into one big concert and people were selling beer and food out of their trucks and trunks and anywhere that they could put something, right? So I said, okay, you know, how can I profit off of this? And it's really becoming mobile and really being able to take those trucks and put them anywhere without thinking about having to plug in somewhere. Because that's one of the biggest challenges that I had. There's concerts like for Semana Santa, spring break. There's pop-up parties everywhere, and the biggest challenge that I had was plugging in.
Okay, yeah, I can
You know,
see that.
getting electricity to be able to turn everything on. And, you know, the generators are really noisy and it's not really a good thing. If you want to throw it on the beach, it's hard to just throw it on the beach. So I'm inventing these trucks, partnering with some people to see what we can do to really make them self-sufficient and make them fully mobile.
Okay, great. Now that you mentioned that, it is interesting. You know, what are the pros and cons to having a food truck instead of a standalone location, like renting a place?
I mean, the weather is always, you know, interesting. So you have to be ready for, you know, all kinds of weather situations. I find the food trucks to get more challenging now with finding space because the rent is more than the rent that I pay here at my location at the bar.
Finding places to park the
To
truck?
park the truck, yes.
So that is a challenge.
It's getting really expensive, right? So that's become the biggest challenge. But if you're lucky enough to find a spot that the municipality will give you permission, you probably pay small taxes to the municipality, right? And you don't have to pay rent on it, but it takes some digging and a lot of relationship building to get to that part. So that's what I find to be the biggest challenge, that the rents are really getting high. Like no matter where you go right now to these food truck parks, they're asking $1,000.
Wow,
Yeah.
that's interesting. I would have never thought about they would charge that much, but that's the same like renting your own.
Exactly. It's much more than what I pay here. So, you know, that's the biggest challenge, and that's what really pushed me to go mobile.
Okay.
You know, between the impromptu
Just
parties
go to different
and
places, whatever they have something
And there's
going
so
on.
many concerts, as you know, that they do all over the island, right? So if they're having a big concert like Mark Anthony, or, you know, they just had the Sweat Fest in Punta Cana where they had all these artists come, you could just drive into the areas and make money just from the parking lots that are around, or
That
you
are
find
around
a
you,
corner.
just park your
Yeah.
thing and you start selling your food.
Exactly. So, you know, those are the challenges, and having a staff and really knowing what hours to work, because you have no limit, right? There's no limit to what you can do. So it's really, really just getting that winning formula for yourself. That's the biggest challenge apart from what I mentioned.
So what type of food do you sell on the truck that you have, or the one that you have?
Now,
on the
so
stand-up?
now the truck that I have, I actually rent it out for events,
Okay.
and that's more profitable than anything else I've done with them. Like I could rent a truck for a day and get a month's rent.
Huh, that's interesting.
So that's what I've been doing. But when I had the food truck, what I did was I studied the food that was in this area because I had it here, right? And I saw that they had a lot of the same typical Dominican, you know, foods. So I started selling things like wraps. You know, I took a little bit of the American mentality and said, okay, how can I maximize off that and still attract people? And what I found was that people were open to different things because everybody gets tired of eating the same thing,
every day.
right? And then I would throw in like a weekly, like just crazy dish that I would do. Like I would do like a homemade pasta, and I would just sell it as like the special of the day. And people would like call and look for that. And the one thing that was really popular that I haven't sold here in 2 years, I had somebody walk past the other day and said, yo, can you start making your French fries again? So
What did you put in your French fries?
So I took a little bit of, what is the chain? Checkers? You know Checkers? I took a little bit of their, you know, spiced French fries, the seasoned fries, and I just seasoned up the fries.
Yeah.
And I was selling them, you know, relatively cheap because it's not a big cost. And they loved it. They still asking me 2 years later
Yeah,
for the French
I know.
fries.
We used to
sold
do some
When we sold fries, we used to put the
seasoned
seasoned
salt.
salt on it.
Uh-huh.
It
They
tastes
never
good.
had seasoned salt. They
Yeah.
typically put
Just
salt
salt
on
on it.
the fries.
That's
Seasoned
it,
salt will
yeah.
make it
The
different.
Lottery seasoned salt. They
Yeah.
ate it up.
So I did something a little different, right? I did a mixture of seasonings, just made up my own kind of Larry salt and threw them on there, and they just ate it up. They used to love it.
Yeah.
So simple foods, just different, because I feel like we all at some point get tired
Yeah, get tired
of the
same
same thing, right? And don't be afraid to switch it up if you need to switch it up, and keep it simple, right? Because I see sometimes menus that are like books, right? And it's like it's a lot. So just keep it simple, stupid. You know, don't get too extravagant. It costs so much more to keep so many different ingredients. So be good at one thing, right? Do it well. Have some maybe additional garnishes or things to go along with it, but don't go crazy with the menu because it'll drive you nuts.
That's so funny that she brought that up because that's one of the things that we learned from our business, and that is that we was winking here. It was with 20 flavor wing, but then in addition we add pizza, we add rolls, we add this, we add that. And in tacos, because we was trying to please too many people, and
Yeah.
that's when it went crazy, and then the inventory, and then it was too much.
Yeah.
Yes, if you are good in one thing or you like something, you stick to your menu.
Yeah.
If you have somebody that wanna eat what you serve, they're gonna go to your restaurant. If they want something else, let it go to somewhere else.
Yeah. And I always say, opinions are like assholes. Everybody has one. Doesn't mean you need to pay attention, right? Everybody's gonna have an opinion on what you should do differently, how you should do something. Just tune it out. Stick to your guns. You know, if you're gonna learn from your own mistakes. Learn from the market. Don't listen to everybody's opinion. I mean, it's one thing if you have Chef Ramsay come in, right? It's another if everybody's coming to you with, oh, you know, your fries should be purple, not, you know, red or whatever. But it's important to make sure that you stick to your guns.
Yeah, that is true. You always gonna have people say, oh, you should have this, you should have that. They don't know what they're talking about.
Yeah.
So here is the last question and the most important question for people. They don't. Sometimes you want to know how much you expect, but I think the most important question is, how much money can I make if I invest $8,000?
So that's an interesting question, right? How much money can you make? It's endless the amount of money that you can make. Honestly, if you keep your costs low, right? Do it pretty. Do it good, right? Do it cheap. So if you take, for example, the Venezuelans that are doing the arepas,
The arepa.
they have opened tons. I mean, they're a huge
But I
franchise,
just don't understand that arepas.
and their costs are so low, right? So I mean, you can make your money back 3 to 4 months if you're smart about it. Easy, make all of your money back, and then everything else after that, you know. So you can live comfortable.
Let me ask you this.
Uh-huh.
How long you been doing this?
Oh, 4 years now?
4 years, okay.
Uh-huh.
Your first food truck.
Uh-huh.
How much did it cost you?
5,000.
How much did you make your first year?
My first year,
On your first food truck.
I bought a restaurant.
So you bought a restaurant after from that?
I bought a
After a
restaurant.
year? What is
Yeah.
that?
You say you made what?
I bought a whole
She bought a
restaurant.
restaurant out of that.
Okay.
So, case closed.
I bought a restaurant after
She bought a
my
restaurant
first
out of that.
Yeah, out of that. So you can make plenty of money. Again, it was pure pandemic. I was capitalizing off of that, but I kept it going. And like I said, where I'm making more money is renting it out for events. I can charge a whole month's rent in one single day.
Okay.
So that's why it can vary, you know?
Yeah, I get.
Yeah, and food truck events, by the way, are huge here. They have food truck events all over the place. So people that don't have food trucks that want to participate, they're always looking for a truck to rent.
To rent, and then
Yes.
they can go and rent it. That way they can use it for that event
that
and make
event,
money.
yes.
And then okay,
Yes.
that's good to know, because even if you have your food truck and then you have a couple of it just to rent it out, if you go after that kind of people that look for us, that
Yeah.
can be a good business too.
Yeah.
So,
So
yeah.
I know I didn't really answer your question directly, but in my first year, I would tell you definitely over 100.
And an investment of 5,000. I would say it was pretty good. After our first year, we had to close down because we lost a lot of money. So that was a good business.
You know, sometimes you're just at the right place at the right time.
Yeah.
I was lucky enough that I came here and I didn't come here with zero. Like my husband was here, he knows the markets, he knew how to move, he knew where to go. So I had some inside knowledge that helped me out along with, just
Okay,
having
that is
business
important
savvy.
to have that.
Yeah. It is, and network as much as you can. Network with the right people. I always say, and Maria always looks at me funny when I say it, do you need a lawyer to do all of this? Not everything. You should though, especially if you don't know the language 1,000%.
If you don't know the place, yeah.
If you don't know where to go to do what, 100%, right? So if you don't have that inside knowledge, please go get yourself an attorney. Have them help
time,
you. Yes.
time and money, because you don't know. Now, if you have people, you know what to move around, then yeah, probably you can make it. But if you don't know if you want to get in, probably you just want to somebody they give you some advice.
For sure. And you can find, you can find lawyers like Maria who's awesome. Like you waste no time with Maria. She gets you what you need to get done. It comes at a price, right? Then you have your local attorneys that, yes, you can find the Dominican attorneys that speak English. They might not be as fluent, but enough to communicate with you, and that'll be maybe at a little bit lower cost, right? And then you have, consultants. Like I'm a consultant. I have a consultant business that can help you through the process as well. And that will probably come in at a lower price point. Because I was pure operations in my background. Procurement and operations is my core. So everything I do it efficiently and I do it at a low cost. And I did it for 35 years in the States. I was director of procurement for Heineken at one point. So, I've been all over the place. I worked for an Israeli company for 5 years. I was director of procurement and operations for them. So, there's a lot there.
Okay. So she have a lot going on. So guys, this is what I have for right now. Thank you for watching this video. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and also share. And I will see you in my next one. Bye.
Bye.